And welcome to the Thursday, May the 1st, Trotwood-Madison work session meeting. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Yes, Mrs. Kilgore?
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin?
Yes.
Mrs. Currington?
Present.
And Mrs. Cherry?
Yes. Can we stand for the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next on our agenda, we will have our mission statement read by Kylan Steverson.
The mission of Trotwood-Madison City Schools is to graduate all students prepared to excel in a global society with a commitment to lifelong learning by guaranteeing a challenging curriculum facilitated by an innovative and dedicated staff, community participation, and state-of-the-art resources in a stimulating atmosphere.
Thank you. Thank you and job well done. Next on our agenda, subject E, to adopt the agenda as present. Or do we have any changes?
I do have one change. Under superintendent's report, I would like to add I would like to move item D down to E. And then for item D, I would like to add approval of the student code of conduct for the 25-26 school year. And then subsequently, D becomes E, E becomes F, and F becomes G.
So can you repeat that again?
Yes, that's why I stopped. I saw you kind of writing down. Item D will now be approval of the student code of conduct for the 25-26 school year. Okay. Then item D, currently approval of the new Bethany Christ Scholarship, moves down to E. E moves to F. And F, approval of the personnel agenda, moves to G.
Okay.
I need a motion to adopt the agenda with the changes.
A motion to adopt the agenda with changes.
I'll second.
It's been moved in second. Ms. Allen, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Mrs. Currington?
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin?
Yes.
Mrs. Kilgore?
Yes.
And Mrs. Cherry?
Yes, motion passes to adopt the agenda with changes. Next on the agenda is presentations.
Thank you, Madam President. Our first presentation this evening is the Trotwood Police Explorer Program, Trotwood Police Explorer Program, Work, Experience, and Guidance. And I'd like to bring our school resource officer, Officer Tyrone Derrick, up, and he will present his young people this evening.
Hello, Board. These are some of our explorers that we could consider cadets. The program, can you go ahead and switch for me? Program was put together by myself and Officer Taylor as one of few that's here in Montgomery County. As you look at the slides, this program that helps young people explore a career in law enforcement. The program offers training, practical experiences, and other activities. So we're going to teach them how to be a police officer. That's one thing you're going to learn. But we want to explore their what they want to do in life also. So this is just going to help them make decisions. To become a member, an applicant must be between the ages of 14 and 20 years of age, have a parental permission if they're under the age of 17, be enrolled in school, maintain a 2.0 GPA in each subject. Applicant must pass through the background check as well as complete the basic Explorer training program. So our background check, basically we check with juvenile detention, see if they have a history there or not. So that's about all we do as far as that goes. Next. I wanted one of them to read the mission statement, but we can't see it that far. Our goals and objectives for the program: further the Explorer education, encourage his or her participants in a wide variety of community services activities, enhance Explorer's preparation for the future roles as citizens, community members, leaders, and law enforcement officers. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, next. So right now we have a total of 9 cadets right now, 2 with the rank of captain, 1 with the rank of sergeant, and 6 ranked as cadets. So both our captains are not here today. One is out of town for a school visit. The other one is actually on assignment, on a recruiting assignment with us for us right now. Because we don't just take Trotwood kids, we take kids all through Montgomery County. So we target Trotwood, but we accept from where one of our captains is a junior at Chaminade, and she's out at her school now recruiting for us. Okay. Next. Activities during current school year. Explorer provided concession services for the middle school and high school with school winter events. They actively support high school swim meets through the volunteer assistance. Concessions proceed directly fund the Explorers boots, uniforms, and registration fees. Explorers delivered valuable community services by setting up equipment and operating the shot clock for the premier YMCA basketball games. So we do a lot of concessions, which we generate our money so that no money comes out of our parents' pocket for anything we have to do. We paid all their registration fees. The Explorer program is based out of the Boy Scouts of America. So we have to go through them as far as their registration fees, their laws and all that stuff. So we make sure that the parents don't have to pay for that. We pay for all the uniforms and everything, so nothing come out of the school or their parents' pocket. That's what we do with our concession money. We also, our captains also did community work at the YMCA's as far as their winter sports, as far as running their shot clocks, setting up for the winter events. So we're doing a lot more community things, just not inside the school at this time. So we are set up. We're going to do a lot of the things for the city of Trotwood as far as the concerts is coming up. We'll be doing trash and directing traffic for the city and all that stuff. So our Explorers will be doing that stuff that's coming up. Next. So this is some of the future activities we're going to be at as far as we got already signed up for. But we're doing a lot more. We're getting a lot more activities. Festivals are actually calling and asking us for our services now. So it's growing already for us. Next. As far like I said, we already got one of our captains out there recruiting for us now. So the captains, basically, they run the program. We're there, but they run the class. They set up the classes. They do all the communication with the cadets. So we try to make it as real as possible as a police officer as we can make it. At this time, we also are running what we call 2 stations. First station is these cadets here. These are the younger cadets. Second station are the older cadets because this program is going from 14 to 21 years of age. At 21 and a half, you can go into the, oh shoot, that's on the tip of my tongue, Explorer program through Sinclair, where you can become a peace officer. So Sinclair wants us to make sure when they get those kids that's 18, 19, come to us to be an Explorer. At that point, they'll be a cadet for us until they can go to the academy at Sinclair. So I just met with Sinclair and their academy this week. What we're trying to do now, what we actually got set up is if they complete our Explorer program, they will get a scholarship to go into Sinclair to get their associate's degree. two different scholarships. One would be as if they want to go through as to be a police officer, and one is they want to venture to do something else. So I've set up two different scholarships. So we will be able to show you guys this probably in the next meeting or two. So how it's set up. So, do anyone have any questions right now?
How often do you guys meet?
So right now, the one thing about Explorer programs at this age is they do a lot of different things. So we try to meet once a month right now because we got some playing baseball, some wrestle, some getting ready for football. So we have to base off what their schedule is. Now our captains meet once a week to get their classes set up. So once they get their stuff together, then they contact them, let them know when everything works. So in the future, they're probably going to meet at least twice out of a month.
Can we have you to introduce yourself and tell us your rank?
Cadet?
My name is Kyla Stevenson. I'm ranked cadet.
So also, our captains are the ones that rank them. So when it's time to move up to lieutenant or whatever, they will move their rank up, not us.
Okay.
So we put it in their hands. Any other questions? Now, I will say, please, I would try to get the board our schedule, so if y'all want to come to one of the classes and see what they do.
I don't know if I missed it. Is it a total number of, what's the total number?
9. Right now, there's 9. We have 2 in the process right now of coming in right now as we speak. That'll give us 11.
Are those,
So-
how many are Trotwood students?
All but one is a Trotwood student
Okay.
right now. So we target our kids first. And then, like I said, my Chaminade student is out recruiting right now. Chaminade Juliet.
First graduating class.
So she's out doing our recruitment. She's designated as our outside recruiter.
Okay. Are you guys learning a lot? Awesome.
Well, Officer Deere, on behalf of the Board of Education and the administration, we would like to present the Explorer program, some certificates. You can share those with those young people.
Okay.
We appreciate you guys coming.
All right.
Look good in that blue and those boots. That concession money going good.
Hey, we try. Now, they will get the full everything coming up. So this is just when they're out at festivals attire. So when we get into the classes, they'll do all the simulations and all that stuff that we do. So it's a lot more that they're going to be getting.
Oh.
So all the money you raise is from concessions, or there's other donations?
All right now, all the money that we've generated is through our concessions. And all the money goes straight back to them.
Okay.
So we will, like, right now, we're trying to decide what is a end of the year activity we can do for them. So that's what we're working on now. So the school is already taking them to Kings Island, so that we got to rearrange what we was gonna do for them.
Go again.
All right.
The board would like to take a picture with you guys.
Okay,
All
no
right.
problem.
All right. Mr. Stone.
Where's my phone? We got a picture. Dad, come take this picture for us.
Picture guy? You got one?
Not all of them.
All right, smile, you guys are gonna be on the website, isn't it? Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Good job, man. Good job. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you, man.
We'll talk.
Let me do what I do.
Good work.
Seriously.
I'm proud that we grew up together.
There you go. Your class is coming up. I'll let you know.
We definitely appreciate Officer Derrick and all the hard work he and Officer Taylor put in with that program. Very visible, very active in the lives of our young people over in the buildings, and we're excited about continued partnership with that program. Great job, guys. Great job.
Next, our next presentation will be the May 5-year forecast presentation by our treasurer, CFO, Janice Allen.
So in front of you, you should have blue folders. I'm going to go and tell you what's in your blue folder. On the left-hand side would be your 5-year forecast. There is a FAQ from BASA, Buckeye Association of School Administrators, that talks about the House Bill 96. So that was just some reading for you. And then obviously on the right-hand side is a presentation. Your presentation is also downloaded on Board Docs if you want to look on your computer. So I think I'm going to go through this more so initially for our newest board member, because you probably haven't heard one of these before. So I have the great pleasure to say that this is, I think, I was trying to figure out, in 14 years, probably my 28th presentation, and this will be my last presentation for our 5-year forecast. So by law, we have to submit a forecast in May and one in November. And so it has to be uploaded to the state by the end of the month. And so part of this is for the 5-year forecast is general fund, and then we have other special cost centers. And one of the special cost centers we do have is Special Cost Center 9467, which is our student and wellness funds. And I'll talk about that a little more later in another slide. So the purposes and objectives of the forecast, obviously it gives the auditor state any semblance of if there's any problems or potential financial problems. It also, when I submit our appropriations that you all approve, I have to submit a 412 certificate. And what that 412 certificate means is that we can afford to pay the expenditures that are on that appropriation document. And it also gives you an opportunity for us to engage in some dialogue on the revenue and the expenses. I always say that a 5-year forecast is just what that is, forecast. If I knew all the numbers, I knew exactly how they were going to fall, I probably wouldn't be standing here. This is our best guesstimate of what we think revenue and expenses are going to be. So I just keep saying that over and over. This is an estimate, a forecast, and if things go astray, you have the opportunity to refile. You can do it every month if you like. But this is a really best guesstimate of how we think that our 5-year forecast will land in the next 4 years, actually. Let's see, did I have anything else I wanted to say? No. So the 5-year forecast is divided in 2 sections. The first section is revenue, and then the second section is, the revenue is state funding and local, and then the second piece of that is your expenses. And the expenses are broken down into your salaries and benefits, purchase services, materials and supplies, and capital outlay, and then other expenses, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So our consultant, Christopher Moore from K-12 Consulting, he works with us, our incoming treasurer, Jill Adams, and the superintendent, Howard. We had a meeting with our consultant a couple weeks ago, and we go line by line basically to make sure that all of our assumptions that we're putting in the 5-year forecast line up with what we are intending to do. One of the slides that he wanted me to talk about was the House bill that's coming up and it's right now, I think it's still in the Senate. And it's going to have a major effect on everything. So 3 major things I wanted to talk about. The first one would be that one of the things that they want to do is eliminate the Fair School Funding Plan. And that Fair School Funding Plan for the last, I guess, 4 years? Yeah, last 4 years has allowed Trotwood-Madison to pay our bills, basically. And so they are recommending that they suspend that for the 5th and 6th year. They owe us about $1 million, and once they suspend that, we're not going to get our money. So that's one thing. The second, the major thing that everyone's talking about is a 30% carryover. And so what that means is that if you look at FY25, if you look at our expenses, so our expenses are estimated at $44 million, and that on here is line 4.5. If you take 30% of $44 million, that equates to $13 million. If you look at FY26 column and on the same cash balance line, and the cash balance line would be as of June 30th on 7.02, we are projecting that we're going to have a cash balance of $14.5 million. If you compare that to the $13 million, that would be a variance of $1 million. That $1 million, they are proposing that they would reduce our tax collections by that $1 million. And that means we would not get our tax collections. So we're hoping, very much so, that component of the House bill does not pass, because there is a lot of things attached to that if that does pass. It would affect our debt, our credit rating, and it would affect a lot of other things as well. And then the last thing is I think I talked about the property tax implications that House Bill 96 would be, and we feel that it would be devastating to our public school community. This next slide shows what the budget timeline is for the FY 26-27 state budget. Right now, we're like in the middle. We're obviously with first part of May. Our filing deadline, as I stated before, is May 31st. They are looking at the biennium, it's obviously starting July 1st. However, a lot of the tax changes and the things that they're wanting to do for House Bill 96 won't potentially be implemented between October and November. So in order to put this together, we had to assume a lot of things. And so, like I said, and I'll keep saying it, this forecast is an estimate, and it's our best guess. And I've always said that. I've always felt that the K-12 consulting group that we work with provides us with a lot of good data so that we can make some good decisions. So I just put some of the challenges to our operating revenue. I talked about the Fair School funding may not be funded between 26 and 29. The total revenue is estimated to grow by less than 1%, but our expenses are estimated to grow 4.7%. And so what that means, obviously, is if your revenue or your expenses is greater than your revenue, you will then start deficit spending. And if you want to look on your 5-year forecast, 6.01 is our deficit spending. And so if I look at that, I'm sorry, what is 6.01? I'm sorry, 7.01. We started in FY24, $713,374. We are projected in 2029 for that to increase to almost $8.7 million. And so that is concerning. Our enrollment, and anytime our enrollment or decreases in our enrollment will affect our state foundation funding. And then, of course, the biggest thing is the state legislature in itself. So that's the biggest challenge to our revenue stream. And so expenses, our forecast facts and assumptions. So salaries were estimated to increase by $2.3 million, and this was due to some of the absorption of some of the ESSER staff. Also, we provided 2.5% raises across the board. which was negotiated, and then there are step increases. Our materials and supplies increased in FY '25. We did purchase 140 electronic whiteboards that I've had the pleasure of using, which they're awesome. And we also had, in FY '26, is slated for us to have a textbook adoptions. And then from '27 to '29, those adoptions then will be evaluated every year. As I said before, the district spending, deficit spending begins in line 6.01 and will continue up throughout the forecast. Capital outlay was reduced in '26 and '27 because we did not have any bus purchases slated. So we did buy one bus in '25, and then the next bus we have for FY '28 and '29. And then, of course, our expenditures for ESC, we estimated that cost would go up about 2% each year. And so everything seems to be going up. I mean, if we look at our own households, you know, the price of eggs that people are talking about, the price of houses that people are talking about, even the price of toilet paper, it's all going up, and so that affects our 5-year forecast also. So revenue, I did just a comparison between what we had in November to what we have in May. And so property taxes, because our assessed valuation is climbing, if you see all the new construction in Trotwood, that allows us to collect a little bit more taxes. State foundation is about flat. Homestead and rollback is a flat other also. And in other revenue, we reduced that. And other revenue, FYI, is tuition, facility rental, our interest, and our Medicaid reimbursements. So other sources of revenue is, one of the sources, and I talked about this on the Special Cost Center 9467, is student wellness and success monies. We started the year with $826,308, and we have to spend that amount by June 2025. And so we will accomplish that. And then we have an additional $680,241 to spend after that. That money is, the majority of that money is used to pay for our Samaritan Behavioral Health contract, and then other materials related to student wellness. And then, of course, we have our grants that are in the amount of $4+ million. So I did the same thing that I did with revenue and compared that to what was in the November forecast and compared that against the May forecast. So we did reduce the salaries by $250,000 and the retirement by $295,000. So that was almost $500,000 that we reduced. We had to increase the purchase services by $1.5 million and then supplies by $450,000. And so the purchase services, again, those purchase services include services for our mental health, and then we have intervention specialists and nursing, and our Montgomery County ESC, that all goes into purchase services. And this is the graph I always talk about. It looks like an alligator at the top, but the expenditures are still above the revenue, and then obviously ending cash balance is reduced. This is a 60-day cash balance spreadsheet, and back on April 21st, 2016, the Trotwood Board passed a resolution to have at least a 60-day cash balance. And so far, we have not had any concern with that, but if you see in 2028 and 2029, there might be problems with that because it will fall below a 60-day cash ratio. Here I wanted to show a graph for revenue sources, and you can see that the state foundation revenue takes up 70% of that, and then the 2.6% is the rollback. And we get from the state as well. But so 72.6% of our money comes from the state. And that's why it's really imperative that we keep an eye on our state, what they're doing in the state. This is a schedule of what I talked about when I said that if they don't pass this, if they do pass the House Bill 96, that this, the phase-in piece, if they eliminate the phase-in piece, we would be owed still $1 million. So the calculated state funding was $25 million, and they have, what we get is $24.2 million. And so if they suspend the fair school funding, we will never be paid our total amount of money. And so that's a little disconcerting. Again, I did a graph of the general fund expenditures for FY '25. If you see wages and benefits, we always kind of lump those two together. That is about 75% of our expenses. And through the research, the norm is about 80% or less. And so we were definitely within the norm in terms of that. And then the other ones, would be the awards and PBIS, and I saw the nice plaques up there. That is part of other expenses. And then our ESC, we spent we'll spend $2.5 million in our ESC for expenses. And then this next slide is just it graphs where our money is. And so the red is wages, the blue is benefits, the gold is services, the green, you can hardly see, is supplies and materials, and at the top, can't see it at all, is capital. And so the last thing, and then we can look at the 5-year in a second. This is a summary. Again, the state resources is basically our state foundation is 70% of that, but the total is 72.6%. We have a positive cash balance through 2028. The future funding is uncertain. We don't know what's going to happen in 2027, but it may freeze the state funding. There's a lot of new tax laws that may come into effect, particularly the one on restrictions on our cash balance. And then there are just so many unknowns throughout the forecast. So, like I said, we tried very hard just to put them all together and come up with a best guess. So I just wanted you to take out this and I can go over it very quickly. This is what we will, I will ask the board this is for information. I will ask the board on May 15th to approve this, and then I'll file it on May 16th. So you can see that this forecast is 3 years of actual, 22, 23, and 24. And then the forecasted is this year, 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29. And so we forecasted revenues, we forecasted the expenditures. And then if you go all the way down to 10.01, you can see that this is our estimated, what we think the fund balance will be. This year, we ended at $20.7 million. The following year, as I stated before, 14.4, 7.8, 124,000, and then we get into the negatives. But I am sure that we will continue, or you guys will continue talking about this, and hopefully the forecast can look a little different back in 2029. There's a lot of things that are going to be changing, so never know what's going to happen in 4 years or 5 years. So that's my presentation. Any questions?
I would like to add that Ms. Allen and I did attend a session with some of our local legislators down at the ENC with superintendents, treasurers from throughout the county, and there is a lot of angst with regards to the Senate bill that she was referencing, Ms. Allen was referencing, but there's also a lot of opposition too. The county auditors across the state, County Auditors Association, has come out and specifically against this bill and against the way that the House bill has appeared throughout the state, and then even some feedback that we got from some of the local legislators who are on the side of the aisle that voted for the initial bill have made some statements with regards to the way the bill is in its infancy as it moves through the state, moves to the Senate. A lot of conversation about the Senate and their perspective of the bill. So we as Ms. Allen did state, we're in a wait and see. We're in a wait and see phase. We're going to wait and see what comes out, how this is formed. A lot of belief and perceived expectation that it's not going to be in the same mode as it's being presented to the House. A lot of conversation I've had as recent as today that the Senate may tweak it its way. So we really don't know. We really don't know. I think it's in our best bet to continue to try to trim the fat as much as we can in a lot of different areas, and we're going to work through some exercises and then definitely include you guys in that. But we still have to provide programming for our students and our families, and we're going to make sure we do that. But we have to do it within the framework of definitely what we have laid out here.
At that meeting, did they talk about like how they're pushing back?
Well,
I mean, we saw a lot of them on the news standing next to certain people, and
Yeah.
they really don't care about what happens in public schools.
yeah, and I'll be transparent, and this is for the record. So, I'm a superintendent of a public school, so I'm an advocate for public schools. This is a direct attempt by some people to destroy public schools. That is the focus of this bill. That is the focus of a group of people, and it's just not here. It's across the entire country. Public schools have been been the foundation of this country, one of the foundations of this country for years, and for some people, it's not working for them anymore. There was a House bill that not a House bill, a case that just went to the Supreme Court, I believe yesterday, in Oklahoma, where some of the Supreme Court justices, well, the case is from Oklahoma, but the Supreme Court justices have ruled in favor of allowing public funds to fund a private charter school, private Catholic charter school in Oklahoma. So for some, they believe it may be the beginning of the end for public education. But that case is going through a lot of other aspects of appeal, but we just have to be very mindful of legislation that's out there, very mindful of what we do internally as far as we say it, tightening our belt and making sure that we are, checking every nook and cranny to find out where we can save money, but also continue to provide the services that our students need. But we just have to we have to be aware. We got to keep our eyes open because we just don't know. And yes, there were some of those legislators who voted for the bill, and Ms. Allen can probably piggyback off this. Voted for the bill in the House, but as we're sitting there in the meeting, they're in opposition to it, which, we're dealing with politicians, so that's kind of how it works. But we had to vote for it because of all these other things that were in it. And then one gentleman asked specifically, well, why did you vote for it? And, it was a discussion that got a little heated at some times, but you just don't know. You just don't know what's going to happen, and we just have to keep our eyes open. And
It's nothing like man, this bill is crazy. Yes.
yeah,
That makes a lot of sense.
You said that, Board Member Lumpkin. You did, yeah, and they were called out on it. Why did you vote for it then? If you're so in opposition to it, why did you vote for it? Well, we had to, and of course, you know how that kind of plays out. So one of the ladies, I can't remember her name, she's
Andrew White.
Andrea White, yeah, I think she's from Centerville, down that south of town.
Yeah.
Yeah, south of town, Centerville. She said, well, we're gonna wait to see what the Senate does with it. And then we'll have another opportunity to vote. We only had 2 weeks to vote. I mean, there was a lot of stuff. And of course, everybody was like, well, if you're so opposed to it, why did you vote for it anyway? Why would you just vote for it,
I didn't know that's how it worked. I didn't know like you get to vote and then, you get to vote again after the Senate clears it. Thought it goes to the governor after that.
I thought
Yeah.
that same thing too, but they
Yeah.
sent it back to the House.
But of course, one gentleman did say, Representative Young said that he was in the room with a bunch of smart people, smarter than anybody in this room, and you're talking about superintendents and treasurers and smarter than any, and of course, he got called out on that as
That's what
well.
Tom Young had to say.
Yeah, smarter than anybody in this room, and, he didn't really give us the information we needed, and then, of course, we said, so you hanging out with people smarter than everybody in here that deals with schools and deals with school funding, and we're sitting here telling you that this is not beneficial and it's gonna destroy some school districts, but those smart people whose room you were sitting in, you're valuing their opinion a little more than ours. Okay, so,
And he tried to clean it up.
yeah, he did try to clean it up when he said that, so we will see, but, we gotta keep our eyes open and just make sure. And then when you have your opportunities, definitely be vocal and diligent about making sure, you express your concerns, and, I think,
Is there any way we can get a list of the local representatives who were there, who voted for the bill but
No.
opposed it to you?
absolutely, yeah, we can share that, and, we'll make sure we get that. Willis Blackshear was there also representing our, our district, well, not district anymore, but representing our, Senate, and of course, he was sitting there listening and, appreciated all the information. But, yeah, it was an interesting time, it really was. Yeah. All right, any more questions? Ms. Allen, you got anything else you want to add?
Any questions for Ms. Allen?
No, it's her last one. You don't want to put Lord.
It's her last
You guys gonna be nice, you gonna be nice to
It's her
Don't you have
last.
one more meeting? You have one more meeting though, right?
No, she's, I'm
Yeah,
talking
several.
about,
Last
it's her last forecast.
Oh, last forecast, oh,
So
okay.
normally I would ask a myriad of questions.
You
but
would.
Not today.
All right, we're moving right along. Next is the consent agenda. And I need approval for the consent agenda for items A through F as listed on the agenda. All the items listed from A through F was presented at our last meeting for information.
I motion that we approve the consent agenda as listed.
I'll second.
It's been moved in second. Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Mrs. Currington,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mrs. Kilgore,
Yes.
and Mrs. Cherry.
Yes. Motion passes for our consent agenda. Next up on our agenda, item number 4 is board report.
Okay, in your folders and also attached on the agenda, I have provided an update of the most current winter policy updates. There is a packet identified as A, and as always, what this is the first reading, and each one of the policies, whether they're revised, corrected, new, have just a brief summary of the information in the policy. A couple of them I want to make highlights. I want to highlight for the board. 2460, some new regulations in special ed. We've seen this one a couple times, Just want to make sure you take a little bit of time to read that one. 5610 on page 3, expulsion, outlines some new regulations for superintendents and their ability to expel kids per some identified violations or offenses. And some of the more controversial ones, in a sense, 5780 is the Parent Bill of Rights. And it also dictates to districts how we have to communicate this process of the Parents' Bill of Rights in the event that a student has some issues that they disclose to a staff member, what our responsibility is for sharing that information with parents, as well as the notification of any sexual content or student health material, The district must establish a process also to share that information with parents. We have to do that by July 1, so we'll work on that. And then 7421, biological sex, identified rooms, restrooms, locker rooms, shower rooms, and changing rooms. Now, all of those are designated by biological sex. So that is also one of the new policies that we are going to have to adhere to, and that's 7421. Most of the other ones are either some small technical corrections, revised, but I did want to highlight those for the board this evening. That's all I have on those policies. This will come to the board one more time. It will be, it will be on the agenda one more time. And after that second time, you can vote for approval.
Any questions for Mr. Howard? Moving on. Number 5, the treasurer's report.
I have 2 items this evening, just for information. The first one is approval of board compensation for training that you attended in New Orleans. I have a document that includes Mrs. Cherry, Mrs. Simmons, Mrs. Currington, and Mr. Lumpkin. Each one of them will receive $120 for attending 3 hours or less of training on Friday and Saturday. And so by policy, I have to bring it to the board for you guys to approve, and then I will be able to pay you. And B, obviously, it's the May 5-year forecast for information. I did attach the document to that as well. So again, those both were just for information.
Put the hopes game.
Okay. Do you have any questions for Ms. Allen?
Is the document here?
She has it.
Can I?
It should be attached.
Oh,
Yeah, so, yeah. You want to see this one?
it's attached to the agenda.
It should be,
You should be able to pull it up.
I don't have to pull up on my phone because
You can't get in.
No.
Okay, yeah. Oh,
You can't get in on
I cannot get in my computer.
Mr. Eric, can you assist her with her computer?
I'll share with them. We'll make sure she gets in.
You see? Yeah, that's what she's asking. That's what she's asking.
Okay, so this was for the training at, okay, SBA, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
She's-
Mrs. Kilgore just, this is supposed to say Atlanta, not New Orleans.
I'm sorry?
It was supposed to say Atlanta, but not New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
So I should
Yes.
have changed it.
Okay. Item number 6, superintendent's report.
Thank you. I do have a few items for information and approval tonight. The first item is for, is for action. Item A is the approval of the public notice resolution to reemploy the high school principal. This is the resolution that we discussed where we have to share with the public our intent to reemploy a retiree. The resolution is posted, and then that resolution will be posted per ORC in the local newspaper and local news outlets, as well as our standard publishing process for board meetings. And I am asking for approval of that tonight. What this means is that once this is posted, I believe 60 days from now, we will have a short hearing before a board meeting, and it's standard process with regards to the reemployment of any retired individual. And I'm asking for action this evening on that.
Are there any questions? I need a motion to approve of the public notice resolution to reemploy one high school principal.
I'll second.
Ms. Allen has been properly moved in second. Will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Kilgore,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mrs. Currington,
Yes.
and Mrs. Cherry.
Yes, motion passes to approve the public notice resolution.
Thank you. Item B is the approval of the Meta Solutions Master Agreement. This is our yearly contract with Meta Solutions, who serves as our student database. If you look at the attachment on your computers, you will see that Meta Solutions charges us per student for our data information systems. This is a yearly contract that we bring to the board for approval. All of this information is loaded in our SIS, student information systems, and all of that information is connected with regards to Meta Solutions. This is for information this evening. There are 2 contracts, the initial for services, and then the second for IEP, Anywhere, and Final Forms.
You said services and IEP?
Services first.
Okay.
Fiscal support for software, fiscal support, SIS support for SIS package, that's Progress Book, Power School. Progress Book is our data information system that we use. Grade Book, EMIS support, and purchasing co-op membership. And then the second contract is for the IEP Anywhere Pro, that's a software system that we use. And Final Forms is another communication platform that we use. Excuse me? Registration and enrollment. Thank you, Ms. Mallon.
The final form.
Final
is
form.
registered. Yes.
Final Form.
Okay.
So this is for information this evening, and I will ask for action on the next board meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Allen.
All right.
I do have a question though, because
Yes.
the new program books, did we not get Chromebooks for our students?
Not through this?
Not through this?
Yeah,
Okay.
not through this, yeah. This is just our information.
Okay.
Yes, student data. The next item is item C, and item C is approval of the Samaritan Behavioral Health Contract. And I am going to ask Ms. Mallory to come up, and she's going to kind of stand and but she's going to talk us through a couple bits of information that I want to share with the board. So first, the approval of the Samaritan Behavioral Health Contract, as you know, and as Ms. Allen stated, is one of our large purchase services. So attached to the agenda is the actual contract, and through the contract is actually, excuse me, I'm sorry. through the contract, you can actually see the cost that the district is responsible for. I think this is on page 9 of 12. The cost that the district is responsible for, the total cost, the number of therapists, and the difference between the total cost and what the district is owed, district is what we pay, that is funded through Medicaid billing. So Medicaid bills the students, the health insurance, and then that total cost of $634,000, and then what our district owes, and then with this contract over the next several years, with inflation and some of the other things, you will see an increase. But what I've asked Ms. Mallory to do, and I'll keep sharing with you. You got any questions? Just let me know. I'll bring it back over there. What I've asked Ms. Mallory to do, if you make note of item B in your folder, is before we ask for approval of this contract, which will be next board meeting. I know there was some conversation about, some of the services and some of the contracts that we have. So I asked Ms. Mallard to put together a comprehensive document. She did an outstanding job too, of who these people are, what services they provide, and the contracts that we are responsible for funding, and how the money rolls from us or other agencies to these companies. So the first handout that you have is a 2-pager, and I'm going to ask Ms. Mallory to kind of talk through this a little bit, if you don't mind. All right.
So the first document that you have, it should say student services contracts. And these are contracts that have pretty much ran through our department in regards to some staffing and some support services that are all for our students. That first block is Samaritan, which Mr. Howard just presented to you for the upcoming year. I think they're going through some renaming, branding, so they may be called Preview or Fidelity or of some sort, but they still will be receiving services through the Samaritan Behavioral Health piece. We currently have 7 therapists. There's 1 at each of the elementary schools, 2 at the middle school, and 2 at the high school. And they service, first are students with disabilities who maybe had therapy identified in their IEP, and which will be, a requirement. And then they also service any of our other students who, once a referral is submitted to a school referral process, they do an intake with the families, and then they set up a therapy plan or a caseload. They can refer students outside the services if they need more support. They can work with families and do group therapy. And then the contract also allows them to do therapy with our staff. If our staff need some group therapy, if they need PD and things like that, the contract also allows them to do that. And so the document that you're looking at just shares that, they can have up to 40 students on a caseload, and that's a lot for one therapist, for our students, for, students with various needs. Some of them have a few more, especially if, they've already built a relationship with the family and the students, and, they may be at the top of the caseload, but they don't want to let go of some kids because, part of breaking through the therapy is first building that relationship. So, but they usually try to stay at a caseload of no more than 40 students. And so that $375,000 is what we would owe them for this current year, and of that, that $262,000 or so is what we've spent so far. So that's kind of how this document reads, even in the other blocks. That first number would be what our current purchase order or services is for them, and then what we spent so far. And so if you look at the next 2 areas, or the next 2 blocks, Stepping Stones, which was formerly Cumberland, and Emeritus, which was formerly an organization called Maxim. These contracts have been moved to HR this year just because a lot of the staffing has come, a lot of the extra staffing and support has come through these 2 organizations. And so HR can keep up with staffing, and what the staffing is these staff are hired because we couldn't hire through auditions. contracting agency was able to find us an intervention specialist or a school site or an LPN, which is the staff members that are, on site there. So I'll give you a few moments to look at that, if you have any questions. And so then that last block is Maxim Healthcare. That's another agency that we use. This particular student was a student. Student is currently a DLC student. They came with an in-home nurse. And so, I'm not sure if you know, but if a student has a full-time nurse at home, and they need a full-time nurse, like 24-hour care, if at the time that nurse is at school with them, we have to pay for that time. And then the parents' health insurance pays for when they're not in school.
So is that why the bottom number on some of these is more, is because we haven't factored in the insurance payments back to the district? Because it says like 160,000 per general fund, but we spent 240,000.
So no. So what that says is that that's what we had planned on spending, and that's how much we ended up spending because we had to get more staff than we had planned on for the school year.
Do we know how many students we have that are receiving these services?
Which ones in particular? So
Each category? Because the first one, it says 40 students per therapist.
yes.
So for Samaritan Behavioral Health, how many students do we have receiving those services? Do we, that's?
So I don't have that number
Okay.
right off, and I don't know it right off, but I do know that the middle and the high school, they're reached max. That's why they have to have two. So one therapist definitely has 40, and the other one has 30 plus, if that makes sense.
And we did meet with when we met with them, he did provide us a number of that, and I can share that with you guys.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we spent $240,000, but we only anticipated spending 160. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because we also did not anticipate that we would have to have 4 LPNs from this agency at the beginning of the school year. So that was not anticipated. We had LPNs already, and they may have resigned, and we couldn't find another LPN, so we had to use the contracting agency to find us.
So I have a question. Are they part-time or full-time in each
The
building?
clinic aides are full-time.
And is that part of the ORC, or is that just, because I'm wondering if we could have 2 and they can be part-time in each building. Maybe, this building in the AM, this building in the PM.
And so we could, it would put a strain on the district if we did do that.
Okay.
Just because some of our students have, needs where, they would be running all over the place all the time. We
Okay.
have students who are diabetics, we have students who need tube feedings, things like that.
And that's the key point too, is that the notion of just in the past, when you just had regular, I hate to say regular, but you had paraprofessionals
Right.
working as clinic aides. Now, because there are so many needs, if a kid needs a tube, if a
Yeah.
kid need, you have to have these LPNs
Right.
and unfortunately, and I'm not gonna steal any of Miss Mallory's thunder because she has a few more things. Just for instance, look at, you look at the Maxim contract, which is now Emergis, and the number of intervention specialists. Now, again, understand that, some of these companies are charging us,
Right.
$3 or $4 on the dollar because they know that you can't find, an intervention specialist can resign from here, walk out the door and go to the neighboring school district and get a job. An intervention specialist, a math teacher, a science teacher. What else, Mr. Manley?
Well, those are the main ones, and then sometimes we talk about everything fourth grade and up.
Right.
School psychology.
School psychologist, right, right.
For hiring teachers, that's become extremely.
And this is why we fight with the legislature who wants to take 30% of our money
Yes.
when they have no clue that a kid can show up in this district. I don't know if she's still here. I'm not going to use her name, but we got a baby in this district that I used to call her the $1 million baby because she needed so many resources. Beautiful little girl, sweet little girl, but we have to go and pick her up every day. We have to provide all types of all types of resources for her just to stay in school. But what they're gonna sit here in Columbus and tell us is, you gotta have all these resources, you gotta have all these teachers. This kid needs a one-on-one nurse, a nurse with this child 24 hours a day, and we don't have a choice. We have to figure it out. And that's why this year, our personnel cost has exceeded what, in our personnel and in our purchase services has exceeded what we anticipated. Now, one of the exercises that we've all put our head around is just like that comment you made. That's a conversation we're gonna have. Can we split people? Can we do, because we gotta find some ways to tighten our belts. But there are some things that we just can't tighten our belts on. We just
And
can't.
if you have a nurse that's absent, that kid, you can't provide services to the kid at the school because the nurse is not there.
And that's what they currently do when a nurse is absent. A nurse at one of the other schools will go back and forth. Because there's definitely a student at every building that's a diabetic and that, you know, is handicapped and may need help changing and things like that.
So when does the district nurse kick in? She doesn't, if somebody.
She does that too. She
Okay,
goes too.
okay. And that was just a question for clarity. I appreciate the job that you do, ma'am, and you, sir. I know we probably were getting the best bang for the buck, but I was just trying to see if there were.
But I think it's a good question though. Yeah, it's a good question because you have that, you know, like, man, maybe we can do this, and it's like, yeah, we're looking at that, but it's just it's a lot. But keep going. I'm sorry.
So is there a different forecasting for this though?
No.
So like, I'm sorry. I know I promised that I wasn't gonna ask this question, but that was before I saw it.
But if you look at purchase services, which we look at them every financial meeting, we get to see that it's like purchase services is like a really
Drainage.
it is. It's like it's a financial.
But it,
And a lot of it is grounded in special education.
It is
A lot of it's
in
grounded in
special
I was just
services.
gonna go back to that. because
So,
it's
yeah.
children too,
Yeah.
you know, So, you know, it's easy to say, well, won't you go change it? Won't you go change it?
No.
If it was my
Yeah.
child, I wanna know who the person is and who's
Exactly.
taking care of them every day. And
Right.
not just, who did you get today to take care of?
And it's the district's responsibility.
it,
So it's like a catch-22.
no, I mean, it's services that we have to provide.
Yeah.
My question was just about.
Well, I think anytime they're contracted out, they're gonna be,
Because
the
I
price
just
is-
like for the professionals.
We had a
about
situation
whether or
where,
not, like,
and
the
not to
budget,
speak
yeah,
to it
like-
specifically, we had a situation where we have our own employee, and our own employee, not being specific,
right.
our own employee has interest in leaving us and going and work for the contract agency
Just to make more
because
money.
it's more money.
Yeah.
You know, and of course, we have to take a standard stance on it and say, hey, we can't do that. We can't enter into an agreement with you like that. That's what you decide to do, you do what you gotta do. But we're gonna look for somebody internally first. But this is what we're rolling. I'm sorry, Ms. Bradley, go ahead and,
It's okay, steal all the thunder you
yeah.
need, Mr. So the next page, unless there are any more questions on there, is Eastway. I know you know we've worked with Eastway or Webster Street for a few years now, and they service some of our students who it's a struggle, you know, for them to, you know, maintain in the traditional school setting. And so they're there, they receive therapy, things like that. To date, there are currently only 4 students there, but again, that's an open kind of situation where once the principal makes a referral, they do an intake with the family and see if they think a fit for that, if they're a fit for the school. And then another thing that I wanted to just share with you is private transportation. So that's come into play as well with the bus driver shortage and not being able to, we've been, really struggling some days to transport our students who are, within the district. There are several students who are displaced or who are out of district that we are responsible for transporting. And so we work with some private transportation organizations to make that happen.
And then the next sheet Ms. Mallory has provided, she'll just give you a brief overview of that one as well.
And so I just wanted to share with you all just some information in regards to our students who are being serviced by the Montgomery County Juvenile Detention Center. And so just tried to put together what that has looked like over the years. As you can see, after we returned from COVID, and things started to kick in, the price increase for each student per day pretty much almost doubled, especially when it comes to students with disabilities or students who have any, other mental health needs. And so the unfortunate part is the number of students who we have in Montgomery County Juvenile Detention Center has lessened, but the cost increase has not lessened.
Right. It's doubled. Yeah.
And so oftentimes, you ask, what happens when they're there? And so I just wanted to share, and some of you may already know, just the different opportunities and the different programs that they have there at the Juvenile Detention Center and where specifically students in Trotwood are. So.
And it's not a negotiation.
No.
This is
Yeah.
what it costs.
And they send a bill and we have to pay it. So we do a little investigation. There's a lot of, I hate to use the word investigation, but it's our responsibility to make sure if they're charging us for a student, it is our student.
Right.
We're responsible for the payment of that student. So we, looking for documents, make sure we're the district of residence, the district of responsibility, before we pay those bills.
Good,
But
thank
that
you.
number is going to increase. They are behind in billing. So I think they probably billed for us up through December or January. So they are behind in billing. So we don't get a lot of bills until sometimes the school year is already ended for that year, but they send them.
All right, so our next meeting, I will be asking for approval of the Samaritan Behavioral Contract. Now, one point of emphasis for that is that contract, we can utilize the student wellness money, and we have over the last couple of years for that. And at this point, we do have at least one more year of the student wellness money. So we will apply that money to that, and hopefully the governor has a, 600, has a change of heart and keeps that money going, but we don't think it's gonna happen. But we at least have one more year of that money to fund that Samaritan Behavioral Contract.
So are there other providers that can provide the same services at a lesser price? Have we looked at other providers? I'm sorry.
That's a great question, yeah.
But just for our needs, they have not been able to really, they haven't been able to service us like we need.
Okay.
So, there's some other big ones like South Community and
Yeah.
things like that, but it would be comparable to Samaritan. And our students already have a lot of relationships built with those students.
Okay.
So it would be a big overtake to go with a whole new healthcare agency for all of our students in our campus.
Okay.
And, again, Samaritan is one of those big conglomerates. It's so I actually tied Miss Mallory into another group, and I don't know if they've met yet, but just, it was more of a kind of a local, smaller group, just to develop the relationship. I wanted them to meet with Miss Mallory and talk to them a little bit. But the rep already said, we don't have the band. We don't have the bandwidth to cover anything like that. So, they kind of got us, at their wheel per se. All right. Thank you, Ms. Mallory, for that information.
Thank you, Ms. Mallory.
The next item I have is item D. This is the amended item. In your packet, labeled D, is a copy of the Student Code of Conduct that needs to be approved for the 25-26 school year. We have a Student Code of Conduct review team that meets once a year and reviews the Student Code of Conduct. Ms. Mallory has provided some highlighted points of recommended changes for the updated Student Code of Conduct, and I provided everybody a paper copy along with the digital copy you have. So if you have time, if you have a free moment, or right before you go to bed or something, you want to thumb through the Student Code of Conduct instead of watching TV or on your phone, I'm sure you would enjoy that. But those are the highlighted recommendations and changes, and then the copy is attached for your review. And I will be asking for action on this next board meeting. Any questions on that? Okay, the next item I have this evening is for information, and this is the donation from New Bethany, and this is from Miss Allen. This memo is an acknowledgement of receiving $2,000 for 2 scholarships to be presented to a Trotwood-Madison High School senior. Tony Simmons, pastor of New Bethany for Christ Church, 12 Strader Drive, made this donation. Carolyn Lavelle Mallard will present these scholarships in person at the Senior Awards to be held on Wednesday, May 14th, 2025 at 1:00 p.m. So if you get a minute, add that date if you're available to your superintendent's update, but I will be asking for action on that item next week. Item E is the request for approval via information this evening for the course guides for the 25-26 school year. I asked Ms. Murdoch to stand up. Are there any notable changes or any notable things within the course guide? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but just.
So the biggest changes are some additions of electives for our students. In both course guides, we added designated TESOL classes for students of other languages, because we have students that have more language needs that can be met through just working with the teachers. So those students, and it'll probably be 3 to 5 at the middle school, 3 to 5 students at the high school will have one designated period with their TESOL teacher. That's the only change in the high school course guide. In the middle school course guide, there are a number of electives added. They are going to use more electives to try and engage our students in more of their interests. They surveyed students, surveyed staff. There will be no additional staff added. They're changing the structure of their day to a 6-period day, so they'll be able to absorb the electives with the staff they have.
All right, thank you, Ms. Murdoch.
I have a question. Did you say TESOL?
TESOL.
SOL?
Teaching English as second language.
SOL.
TESOL.
Okay, I've heard it. Thank you.
So again, if you have some free time one evening, you can peruse through the course guide. A lot of good information in there with regards to the offerings that we have for our students. And as Ms. Murdoch said, we're continually trying to offer our kids some areas of interest, and one thing that she didn't allude to is that the additional electives that we're providing at the middle school, we're trying to move those, or our plan was to move those to first period, correct? Move those to first period because they're areas of interest, and we're hoping that we will see some effects of attendance with those. So I think her and her team and Mr. Gibson were being very proactive with that concept, and we're hoping to see that over the next couple of years with our attendance. Kids get up because they don't want to miss first period because they got an elective that first period. All right. Item F, last item is G, I'm sorry, we moved down. Thank you. Item G, I am asking for approval of the personnel agenda this evening. I shared the personnel agenda with you guys on Friday. If you have any questions, please let me know. Personnel agenda as read. Items 1 through 6, separations of services. 1 through 9. 10 through 20, appointments and changes in salary. 10 through 57. 58, 59, and 60, supplemental appointments.
I need approval of the personnel agenda.
I moved.
I second.
Are there any questions? Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
Yes, I can. Mr. Lumpkin?
Yes.
Mrs. Carrington?
Yes.
Mrs. Kilgore?
Yes.
And Mrs. Cherry?
Yes, motion passes for the approval of the personnel agenda.
And that's all I have this evening. I appreciate my team for your contribution and information tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item number 7, discussion item updates.
I do have 2 updates for the board. One which was requested, and then one I just kind of want to give you just a real quick update. First, item is A, graduation update, as we head into May, and we are at the point of the school year just about being over. I provided item E in your folder. This is a current status of high school graduates, class of 2025. As of April 29th, and this information is from Ms. Haig. As of right now, we have 191 seniors that are on track. So we have moved that number up almost 50, 55 kids. There are 22 seniors that are still not on track for graduation. I talked to Mr. McCray, and he said that there's a high likelihood a lot of those kids will make it. I didn't get a lot of specific detail, but they are still working to get those additional credits. So right now, I think we're about 89% of the graduating class, which has moved up 50 or so kids, and they are still continuing to push these kids through to hopefully get them over the hurdle. And I'll provide a little further update closer to graduation date to let the board know where we are. But I think at the beginning of the year, we were around 150 or so, 148 or something like, I can't remember exactly. Now we've gotten up to 191. So our next step is to really focus on those last 22 and get them over the hurdle.
Did our FAFSA percentages increase?
It did, and I don't have that information, but I can share that with you as well. I can get that information for you. And Mrs. Haig also wanted to tell me that the lag from input to when FAFSA was actually processing the information was very slow, and that may be one of the reasons we had that early low percentage. But yeah, I will get that information for you. Ms. Potter Lee. Ms. Potter, can you make a note of that for me? Update on FAFSA. Thank you. And then the next update I had, I just wanted to let the board know that we, as a district, we are currently looking to upgrade our website. We have worked with a couple of different vendors and received a couple different proposals. And there are a lot of different websites out there, a lot more user-friendly. Our website is antiquated in a sense. And Mrs. Murdoch and Ashley Anderson, they talked to me about looking at a couple different vendors, and they've brought a couple different vendors to the table, and we've looked at a few. So I believe that next board meeting we are going to present to you guys what direction we would like to go with the website. There's one vendor specifically that has a lot of local schools, does a lot of really creative things with the website. I think we're going to go with that one, but we want to make sure I share that with you guys before we move forward. Just want to give you a heads up. Okay? And those are the only updates I had this evening.
Okay. Item 8, treasurer comments.
Yes, I had one comment today. Mrs. Murdoch and myself had the pleasure of reviewing scholarship applications to be awarded to 9 students. Initially, there were only 8 scholarships, but I felt that I wanted to make sure that all 9 applicants got a scholarship, so I am donating $1,000 for one of the scholarships. And then it'll be my
Out-the-door contribution.
out-the-door contribution. So, yeah, it's really good. The caliber of kids, you all were amazing. I mean, they were amazing. So I had fun. That's all I wanted to say.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Allen. And that donation is to be commended.
Greatly
Got about
appreciated.
10 years to go for her.
You said what?
I said I got about 10 years to go when I'm on my way out
Oh,
the
when
door.
you're on your way out the door, okay.
$1,000 will probably be 100 by the end.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but yeah, thank you. That's awesome. The only comments I have this evening, just a couple reminders. You know, outside of, we're rounding the corner, graduation's on its way. Superintendent's update is in your hand. lot of dates, closing dates, as far as what's going on in the buildings. High school, of course, graduation, the big ceremony accumulating 12 years of education is May 20th. Ceremony starts at 7 p.m. The other information is, of course, as far as relative to what I have going on. I do want to make note to the 5th, I will be out half a day, and then we will start negotiations the second half of the day. And then the 9th and the 12th, I'll be out picking up my son, bringing him home from his first year of school. But there are also a lot of other great things going on. Then I also have a document in there, just some general reminders. The gala, I think we got two of us going to the gala, 2 folks going to the gala on tomorrow evening, 6:30. If you think you're gonna go, let us know, cause we got to.
You going? Okay, he
Okay.
can take my place.
Okay,
If he wants to go, he can take my place.
okay.
I was gonna be late.
But I'm sure if we need another seat, they would be more than accommodating to get another seat. Is that I don't want to speak out of turn.
Regina, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Mr. Lumpkin says he would like to attend, and I said, I'm sure that there won't be a problem for one extra.
But, I mean, my name's on the front of the sheet, so I would hope that
That matters nothing.
the Education Foundation wouldn't say no to one of its members.
So if you decide to go, just, okay. The gala's tomorrow, of course, 6:30, Presidential Bakewell Center. Battle of the Bands is Saturday. We got a rain plan. We got a lot going on Saturday. It starts at 2. We got a lot going on Saturday. We have a tournament, a big, huge Midwest Girls AAU tournament. And Mr. Bean thought that the weather was going to be good, so we rented the gym out. So if the Battle of the Bands starts, the rain starts during the Battle of the Bands, they're going to go to the middle school, and we're going to squeeze them in there. Usually, I would cancel that event, but it was so close, the other event at the school. It was so close because school stuff always supersedes anything going on, but it already made this agreement with this company, so I couldn't let them go. So Mr. Bean worked it out, and we plan on getting that Battle of the Bands in. Forecast looks a little sketchy, but he does believe he can make it happen. And I didn't want to do bad business with this other group after they had already made that. We've already made that commitment. And last, on the 9th of May, the Chamber of Commerce is sponsoring the Mother's Day brunch over here at the Cultural and Community Center. We are one of the sponsors for the organization, so if you would like to attend Mothers, just let myself or Ms. Potter know.
Would you like to attend that too, Mr.
And you can attend too, as a sponsor. But the menu is attached, and if you would like to attend, just let myself or Ms. Potter know, and you can attend and be celebrated on Mother's Day on Friday, May 9th. All right?
All right.
Couple of weeks, we're going to get through. Good school year. That's all I got. Thank you very much.
All right. It's a lot going on. Next up is board comments, Mrs. Carrington.
Thank you all for spending the evening with us. Thank you, Ms. Mallory, for your good presentation and being able to answer some questions. I always like that. The presentations were awesome. I was so excited to see the cadets and see so many young black girls interested in law enforcement. That was really awesome. So I'm just excited about the work that is going on here at Trotwood. And I just think we work with an amazing group of people, and given the current climate, the job that you guys do is really amazing and should be commended. There are a lot of obstacles in our way, but you guys seem to make it happen. And it looks effortlessly from where I'm sitting. So kudos to all of you guys, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Mrs. Kilgore.
I agree with Mrs. Carrington. This is a very informative board meeting today. Learned a lot. Thank you, Ms. Allen, for your 5-year forecast. I have a lot to read. a lot going on with House bills. And again, it's also nice to see our young people thrive with the opportunities they have, such as the Trotwood Police Explore program. So I'm just looking forward to all the upcoming events and graduation and seeing what's going to happen throughout the rest of May. That's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Lumpkin?
I mean, I agree with Ms. Currington too, for once.
For once.
She got it all right. You guys are doing an amazing job, and we don't take light the transition that we're going through right now, and all of the pressure that's out there, and some of the decisions that are being made for our kids from different places that don't really understand the needs of our kids. So we just really appreciate you guys putting the work in and keeping us informed. Like, I think that's the biggest difference for me is just the information and having all of the information. So that's it for me.
Well, once again, we all matter. Everyone here at Trotwood, we all matter. I had the opportunity of attending the signing day yesterday. It was exciting to see about 40 students, I believe, sign their letter of intent for what school they will be going to. Their families, everyone was excited, and it was a good time. So I wanted to congratulate those students. Also, I was able to see the Student of the Month that was on display in the hallway. So congratulations to those students. Also, with the rest of the board members, has already mentioned about the exploring program for our cadets. That's amazing. The first steps to exploring a possibility in a career. I just think that that's awesome. Ms. Allen, thank you for your gracious donation. It's a lot going on in Trotwood, and I want to just say I really thank the Board of Education for trying to make or be present at everything that's going on. It is a lot, and it's a lot for us, so I do appreciate everyone trying to at least show their face and, make sure that we are being visible at every event, or most of the events that we can. That's all that I have. So, with that being said, I need a motion to enter into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, discipline, dismissal, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official of the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official licensee, or regulated individual per BOE policy 0166 and ORC 121.22 G1 and 2, to prepare for conduct or review negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment per ORC 121.22 G4, and to consider the purchase of property for public purposes, the sale of the property at competitive bidding, or the sale or other disposition of unneeded, obsolete, or unfit onshore property, accordance with section 505.10 of the revised code. If premature disclosure of information would give an unfair competitive or bargaining advantage to a person whose personnel private interest is adverse to the general public interest per ORC 121.22 G2, action may be taken.
I move.
I second.
Ms. Allen has been properly moved in second. Would you please call the roll?
Mr. Lumpkin?
Yes.
Mrs. Currington?
Yes.
Mrs. Kilgore?
Yes.
And Mrs. Cherry?
Yes, motion passes that we will enter into executive session at 7:04.
Good job.
Jeez.
We can get this over.